The Green Bay Packers decide to go with two defensive players, both coming from the University of Georgia. Quay Walker, linebacker, Devonte Wyatt, defensive lineman. Very unexpected. We were thinking maybe receiver here, and here to talk about those selections is Mike Wahle, former Packers offensive lineman, also host of the On My Block podcast with him and Amon Green. Mike, I really thought that we get at least one receiver, but here we are with two defensive guys slotting in for this Packers defense.
Yeah, I'm not surprised we didn't get a receiver. We talked about it at length at our podcast. It's unlikely that a first-round draft pick at wide receiver is going to come in and have the impact with Aaron Rodgers as quarterback, just because the level of intimate knowledge you have to play that position with a guy like Aaron Rodgers playing quarterback. Now, you could have brought in Christian Watson like we wanted to, and he could take the top off the defense. He runs up in the 4.3s. He's 6'5", 217 pounds. Could have brought him in, and we have the most accurate quarterback, one of the most accurate quarterbacks in NFL history. Just could have made it happen and made some plays. That would have been great, and then he gets to learn in that room. With some veterans, Sammy Watkins, we just brought in Randall Cobb's obviously there, and then we can even start calling Lazard a vet. So yeah, a little bit surprised, but really shocked that we didn't go with Jermaine Johnson when we had that opportunity to get that edge rusher. The offensive linemen that were there, I think everybody just got picked up. Zion got picked off the board, and then Jalen Green, my favorite interior offensive lineman, we were going to pick up Linderbaum, was already off. It's kind of a weird pick with Quay Walker at Georgia, just because we have the first team All-Pro Devondre Campbell. Interesting pick. Chris Barnes is one of those guys that we've looked at, and every player that we've talked to on the Green Bay Packers is like, this guy's going to be a breakout player. So to bring in another inside linebacker, the only thing you can start thinking of is, do they not want to play a lot of dime? Do they want to have that guy? This guy has covered slot receivers at Georgia. He can play in the zone. I don't see him being that way. He's not that good in space as far as athletically at the NFL level. But listen, this is why the guys get paid big bucks, man. And Devonte Wyatt, listen, you bring in pedigree sometimes, and this is what the Packers are doing. They're bringing in defensive pedigree. Georgia had one of the best defenses of the last couple of years, and Devonte Wyatt was obviously a big part of that. But these certainly aren't head scratchers because they're good football players, but they are kind of situations where we did have some glaring needs that we probably could have addressed.
Ryan, thoughts on these guys as prospects? What are we getting with Quay Walker and Devonte Wyatt?
Yeah, I mean, in a vacuum, I like Devonte Wyatt at that spot, right? In the 20s, I think he's got some penetration style to him, although he played in that three-man front at Georgia that did not ask him to do as much. But you saw at the Senior Bowl, when you kind of take the shackles off a little bit, man, he's got penetration abilities. So I had no issues with Devonte Wyatt there because we knew that he was going to fall a few spots just because there was some character stuff that would kind of came up throughout and with the past arrest. So we knew that he was going to slot maybe a little lower than some people had him predicted. The Quay Walker one for me, man, is just an absolute reach. I mean, what are we going to call it, right? He wasn't even the best linebacker on his team. I personally would think he was the second best linebacker on his team. I kind of like Channing Tindall a little bit more than him, to be honest with you. He's a long, athletic, good-looking kid, looks good navigating space. I just don't see proactiveness to him. I think he's a very reactionary player. I don't think his eyes are great right now, but he certainly has upside, but this just kind of mirrors a little bit of the Jamin Davis pick to Washington last year, right? You're betting on traits, but sometimes playing on the second level, man, is about your eyes, your diagnostic skills, your discipline. I just don't love the Quay Walker pick. I get the Devonte Wyatt pick, but if you were going to go linebacker, the other guys like Devin Lloyd were sitting there, and I think he would have been a better pick if that was the player that you wanted. That was the position that you wanted.
I got to ask, Mike, before we wrap up here, knowing Aaron Rodgers and how he reacts to some of these selections, do we think that this is going to sit well that he did not get a receiver this year and he got two more defensive players?
I think we should just not care, honestly. I mean, you let Aaron Rodgers do his thing. Honestly, I think everyone was a little tired of that. I know that we're not because it's in the media because it's a talking point. But listen, this is such a special night for these players to get the opportunity. I can tell you. Here's what I'll tell you for certain. These guys could not be luckier to be drafted by the Green Bay Packers. Those guys are going to have the best chance to be successful because they're going to, in my opinion, the best organization in the NFL. And that's a big deal, man. And they have stability, and obviously they have stability with their ownership groups, the way that they're constructed with their president, their general manager, their head coach. They have stability. They have something that 26 other teams in the league don't have. They have culture by design. And when you have that opportunity to kind of come into a place with an established locker room, with leaders, with a process, you have the best chance to be successful. So congratulations to these guys. Again, we can't look at the crystal ball. We don't really know always what we're not seeing behind the curtain that is the Green Bay Packers war room. But I wish we would have gotten Jermaine Johnson. I'm a little bit upset.
Folks, if you want some more insight on the Packers draft selections through the whole draft, be sure to check out the On My Block podcast with Mike and his co-host Ahman Green.